JT Show.
Welcome to another episode of the Smash JT Show, my weekly episodic adventure discussing divisive issues in the video game industry and beyond sometimes. It airs every Friday. If you're new here, hit the subscribe, bell for notifications, smash that like, and let's just press start. For this week, we are talking about the onslaught of game streaming services. After E3 2019 and Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, however you want to pronounce their name, said that they're starting their own unique proprietary streaming service called Uplay Plus. For $15 a month, you're going to have access to the entire catalog of Ubisoft games, which on the surface sounds like a pretty cool idea. Oh, I want to play these Ubisoft games. $15 a month, I have access to all of them, all the DLC, all the content, everything in addition with these games, all included, all in one place. Except for this little thing called competition. Ubisoft seems to be living in a bubble thinking that they're the only player in town and that only people want to be playing Ubisoft games. Sure, Watch Dogs 3 looks amazing and Gods and Monsters looks like it's got a lot of potential in the realm of Breath of the Wild type stuff, but unfortunately, that's where Ubisoft ends, and they're trying to get people to spend $15 a month on strictly Ubisoft games. That is a lot to ask the consumer when there are other options available. Especially if you consider the fact that Ubisoft made a deal with Google Stadia so that you can have the exclusive ability, if you pay $15 a month for Ubisoft games, to be able to play them on any Google Stadia streaming devices. Free of charge for the base plan on Google Stadia, but if you want to play these games on high resolution 4K, the best quality you can get, you also need to pay for Google Stadia membership. This is like Streamception. My buddy Rob Rule of Two was saying this on Twitter the other day, had me cracking up because not only are we having one streaming service, but now it's a streaming service that filters into another streaming service that you need to pay for both of them to even enjoy the experience of these games. Especially if you consider a service like Xbox Game Pass, where if you get the Game Pass Ultimate for the same price, $15 a month. Not only do you have access to all Microsoft Studio games day one, but tons of other AAA titles from other publishers are also on that, not strictly just Microsoft games. There are hundreds and hundreds of games on the service and more being added all the time. So Ubisoft coming out with this proprietary game streaming service is really confusing as to who their market is for on this. Now, I don't mean to strictly single out Ubisoft on this because it's becoming a trend in the entire game industry. Recently, Game Informer spoke to Square Enix and asked them about the possibility of a game streaming service, to which Square Enix basically replied, "We're looking into it. We're looking into our back catalog of games and seeing how viable this is to bring them into the current day of gaming and put them all on a streaming service together for Square Enix games." So basically, what this is turning out to be is every company for themselves. Instead of a future where everyone comes together and you can pay one monthly fee to get all these games, they're all going in separate directions to try to get a piece of that pie and not have to split up the money with each other. Hell, even Nintendo is looking into a streaming service right now. So it's not strictly Microsoft or Sony, but Nintendo, Ubisoft already having theirs, Square Enix looking into it as well. You wonder how many other companies out there are looking at these players saying, if they can do it, so can we. Let's pull our games off of the Xbox Game Pass, off of the PS Now, and just make our own service and sell it to people directly so we don't have to split up the earnings with these publishers who are putting it on their service. We get to keep all the money for ourselves. That in itself is scary territory because there's only so many services a gamer can subscribe to. And personally, I don't like the idea of subscribing to a game service where I don't get to keep the games that I pay for. Tangibly, there are no assets after you stop paying for the game service, which is a major problem for someone who likes physical games, somebody who likes to own these, someone who likes to have a collection of these games going, and these services have none of that. It's strictly a pay to play, and when you stop paying, they're gone forever. like you were never part of the service to begin with. It's not that I'm against game streaming, it's just that I'm against all these individual companies making their own service. It convolutes the issue, makes it harder on the consumer, and like I said, impossible to subscribe to all of them. So it forces you to make a choice of where you leave your allegiance to which companies and then ignore all the rest of them, which is not a good thing for gamers. This is something that segregates the audience, separates gamers, and does not unite them whatsoever. And that might sound weird, and people have told me that's not true at all. This game streaming is akin to Netflix, and I would say not necessarily. Sometimes it is. Like, I'd say Game Pass from Microsoft is akin to Netflix, whereas Ubisoft's Uplay Plus is more akin to HBO Go, where it's strictly just HBO shows on a streaming service and nobody else. And yes, it does work, but people only have so much time in the day to squeeze entertainment, whether it's watching movies, TV shows, playing video games, or whatever extracurricular activities they're doing. There's only so much free time people have, and if you're forcing them to spend different amounts of money for different services, they're going to limit what they spend money on, and by doing so, especially when it comes to video games, they're going to limit the games that they're exposed to, and like I said, that's not a good thing for gamers in the first place. Which is why this whole direction of streaming games is not necessarily one that I'm a big fan of. But I'd love to hear where you stand on this entire situation. Game streaming, Google Stadia coming into town, Microsoft Game Pass Plus, going to PC and Microsoft, Sony doing their own thing, Nintendo looking into it, Ubisoft making their own thing, Square Enix looking into it. How many other companies are doing this? It is just getting too hard to manage, and it still has yet to bloom into the full-bore game streaming service that we're going to have in the coming years. Scary stuff. Even though, yes, I do see a benefit to it, I feel like the negatives far outweigh the positives. The convenience of game streaming services is only surpassed by the lack of control and ownership that you have of these games because it's all in the company's hands. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave that topic. But now I want to move on to the Smashing Creator of the Month. This is something that I do every month on smashjt.com. If you're not familiar, check it out, bookmark it, become a member, and watch these creators. They are all fantastic. In this case, I'm going to focus on the Smashing Creator of the Month for June 2019. That is Gaming Off the Grid. These two dudes are hysterical, but yet they're on point with their game knowledge, entertaining, bring some unique knowledge to the game world that I don't really find on other channels. Oh, and they also review beer while they're talking about video games. So really the best of both worlds for anybody who likes beer in video games. I always learn something new. I feel like I'm a guy just sitting on the couch with them talking about video games while I'm having a beer. It's just a very unique feeling. Old school YouTube brought to the new era, so strongly recommend you guys checking them out.
This beer is by Dogfish Head Brewery. They have done a lot of good beers, and this beer is very unique. It's a collaboration with a famous alternative rock band.
Yes, the Flaming Lips, and I love the way the bottle looks. It's so colorful, it's so sweet, and I love how they're partnering with bands.
That's where I'm going to leave this week's episode, but before I go, I want to say a special thank you to all the Patreons listed next to me here that help support the channel on a monthly basis with their pledge. If you're interested in joining them for as little as $1 per month, and oh by the way, I added them to the smashjt.com website so that they're highlighted there as well, smash that Patreon button right there, $1 a month. I would truly appreciate it. Again, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, hit the subscribe, the bell for notifications, and last week's episode's going to be here somewhere. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.